In Tanzania, albinos, people who lack pigmentation in their skin, hair and eyes, have long suffered discrimination. But recently they have begun living in terror. Rumors about their magical powers are having deadly consequences. In a remote rural district of northern Tanzania, a 28-year-old woman has to be fed by her own mother. She can do nothing to help her 3-year-old son. She is a victim of a brutal assault, targeted because she's an albino. She lacks pigmentation in her skin, eyes and hair. Attacks like this have been multiplying.
The core of this is not about poverty, fundamentally. It's about witchcraft, and it's about evil, and it's about control, and it's about discrimination.
A year ago, halfway around the world, Canadian businessman Peter Ash, an albino himself, read about the attacks.
I cried myself to sleep the first day I spent hearing the stories. I couldn't believe it, that you know, children and women and men were being chopped apart for their body parts and used in potions.
In the Mwanza region around Lake Victoria in northern Tanzania, more than 50 albinos have been murdered in the last 2 years. The attacks are spurred by rumors that potions made from albino blood, skin and body parts can bring wealth and good fortune. Last October, Miriam was several months pregnant when a group of men attacked her during the night.
The leader had a machete, a torch, and a bottle. He started to cut me up. He totally cut off this arm and gave it to the man with him. I was being slaughtered like a goat.
Miriam's sister Marisa can't forget the horror of that night.
Miriam started to bleed. And then I saw her other hand was dangling.
It took more than 10 hours to get Miriam to a local hospital. It's a miracle she's alive today. But the baby she was carrying in her womb died. Miriam's mother has moved from her own village to take care of her daughter and grandson. A gene she carries means that several of her children are albino, though she doesn't have the condition herself.
She can't eat, she can't dress, she can't wash herself. I have to do everything. I don't know how to cope because I've got small children.
In Tanzania as a whole, there are as many as 170,000 albinos, far higher than the worldwide average. Scientists are still trying to understand why. Albinos are much more susceptible to skin conditions, especially skin cancer. Their average life expectancy here is just 40 years. In the past, albinos in rural areas were often killed at birth. To this day, few albinos even go to school, let alone university, and their job prospects are limited.
People always call us names, that we are 00, that we are albinos.
The notion is that they're magical. They're not human like us, they're ghosts, right? And so if you've got these ghost-like creatures, A, it's not bad killing them because they're not human beings anyway. And B, if you kill the ghost and have a part of its body and can harness it and use it for your own ends, you will have magical power. And so you really need to understand that to understand this crime.
It's this climate of prejudice that has been exploited by some of the 15,000 witch doctors registered in Tanzania's Mwanza region. The limbs, organs and hair of an albino can sell for $1,000 US. Witch doctors are respected citizens and an established part of the local culture. Milanda James denies she has anything to do with the attacks on albinos, but admits that a few unscrupulous practitioners are giving all witch doctors a bad reputation.
People are accusing us, but I don't know what they're talking about. We are healers. We are not involved in this albino issue.
Having suffered discrimination himself as a child, Peter Ash is now campaigning to protect albinos in the country. He opened an office in the capital for his aid agency called Under the Same Sun. Here he lobbies Tanzania's Prime Minister.
We want justice to roll like a river for the people of albinism in this country. And I know you want that.
We have what I would call probably a headache in the prosecution process.
The wheels of justice in Tanzania have turned slowly. It's taken more than 2 years for the first murder convictions against killers of albinos. Miriam recognized one of her attackers, a neighbor, and is now under arrest, but the government says bringing his case to court could take as long as 5 years. And in the meantime, the attacks continue.
That is a gross violation of the right to be a human being.
Gedu Muigai, the UN Special Rapporteur on Racism, says a major public education campaign is needed.
The government of Tanzania cannot succeed, or indeed any other government cannot succeed, without the population, the local population, buying into the effort to eradicate these practices, supporting the law and order enforcement machinery in finding the perpetrators, apprehending them, and punishing them.
My dream would be that we would have educated, capable, hard-working people with albinism, that the average Tanzanian citizen would see these people in all walks of life, contributing to all kinds of different jobs in society, and that over time they would just become integrated in society, just like anybody else, as they have been in North America and Europe.
But until that dream is fulfilled, Tanzania's albinos are left in a desperately vulnerable predicament. Miriam's sisters, Marissa and Leontine, fear for their lives. They now stay with their grandmother and hide most of the time in the forest near their hut. Miriam attempts to make do with a pair of artificial arms, but they are unwieldy and painful to wear. It's even difficult for her to hug her own son. But despite the struggle she faces every day, she is still grateful to be alive. Thank God, she sings, for hiding my heart. So I survived that day.